Hello friends, welcome to the Oncoscholar channel. In the last video, we covered Kaplan-Meier survival analysis. हमने किया था survival analysis based on mutation of a particular gene in one cancer type और वो हमने access किया था cBioPortal से. So today also we are going to cBioPortal for survival analysis, but today we are not going to do survival analysis based on mutation because based on mutation it is very easy to make two groups. एक ऐसे पेशेंट ग्रुप जिसमें म्यूटेशन होती है एंड दूसरा जिसमें म्यूटेशन नहीं होती. सो यू कैन वेरी इजीली कंपेयर यूजिंग cBioPortal. So if you have anything, any query in which you just want to compare based on the mutation, I would say cBioPortal directly. You can just quickly use cBioPortal and make KM plots and take the data out. But this is not always the case. In most of the cases, in many of the cases, I would say एक बहुत common scenario है based on expression. हम analyze करना चाहते हैं कि if let's say कोई नया biomarker है, expression based biomarker, so हम देखना चाहते हैं कि जिन patients में वो किसी पर्टिकुलर जीन का एक्सप्रेशन ज़्यादा होता है तो क्या वो बेटर या फिर पुअर रिस्पॉन्स देते हैं सर्वाइवल में. सो दैट इज़ द केस विच आई एम गोइंग टू एड्रेस टुडे. सो हम आज पिक करेंगे एक बहुत कॉमन कैंसर, लंग. विद इन द लंग देयर इज़ वन कॉमन सब टाइप कॉल्ड lung adenocarcinoma. So for the ease I will just take the pan cancer study, and you can clearly see mRNA expression data is available and other data also are also available, but for today our interest is just for the expression based analysis. And for the gene query I can just simply put any gene. So I have a gene in my mind, PKM. So let's just query PKM directly in the cBioPortal and see what it gives. So this is the result for PKM. You can see 2% of patients are having some amplification or deep deletion alteration. And if you compare based on if you make comparison or analysis of PKM directly like this, you won't get anything actually. And you see, because in one patient in one group there are only 10 patients and in the other group all the remaining patients are there, so it doesn't make any sense. Because when we are talking about expression, so we have to change our query in cBioPortal to only access the expression data, not the mutation and copy number data. So I'm just changing my query to include expression, and for expression cutoff मैं average value से कितने standard deviation which is usually called Z scores, and you can see they have also mentioned like Z scores relative to diploid, relative to all samples. So average score से कितना standard deviation हम ज़्यादा हो तब हम उसे over express माने. So for that cutoff we can just put expression value, let's say greater than 1 Z score, and we can just submit the query. So in case if you have a query जिसमें आपको just basic exploration करना है, you just want to quickly explore कि मेरा gene of interest patient survival से कैसे associated है, so I would say this is one of the easiest way to explore. And you see now the value has changed, so 10% of patients are having higher expression based on the cutoff value which we have given to the cBioPortal. And now you can just see the survival, and you see that the survival, overall survival and disease specific survival of patients which have been grouped based on that Z score is actually differing compared to patients having less expression of PKM1. And you can easily interpret that PKM1 is actually giving imparting a poor prognosis in the patients. So this is one of the easiest way to explore कि आपका जीन ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पेशेंट सर्वाइवल से एसोसिएटेड है या नहीं. सी बायो पोर्टल पर बहुत सारे डेटा सेट्स अवेलेबल हैं, तो इट बिकम्स क्वाइट ईजी टू यूज़ एंड यू कैन जस्ट डाउनलोड दीज KM plots to use if you have a very clear cutoff in your mind. But this is not always the case, because आपने देखा मैंने just randomly एक value pick की, let's say z value of 1. So it might happen that in my analysis अगर मैं z value 2 लेता तो हो सकता है कि ये जो patient जो group बने हैं वो और better separated होते. So you can think of a situation, let's say आपकी expression values directly numbers में है 1 to 10. So it might happen that you can explore different expression values and make different groups based on that. And हो सकता है कि आपकी किसी particular value पर ऐसे groups बने जो maximally separated हो, and that is actually the best cutoff value to use for the survival analysis also, and for the biomarker for implementing that particular gene as a biomarker also. Let's say in future if we make a kit based on that expression score, so that expression score will help us to identify patients which are going to survive better or which are going to give poor survival based on that gene. So for that we cannot use cBioPortal like this. It is easy, it is convenient for basic exploration, but I would say if you have a particular gene in your mind and if you have a particular data set in your mind, especially the TCGA data, so what you have to do is you have to do the analysis by yourself, not by the cBioPortal. But uh, but but you have to make sure, when especially when you are trying to publish based on these data sets, so you have to be very consistent for the data, for the type of data you are using, and from the source you are extracting this data. Because for the same TCGA data, you can easily see even within the cBioPortal there are multiple data sets which are having the same data but in different formats. So for publishing based on these data, you have to make sure that you are trying to be more and more consistent. You don't want to use expression data from one portal and in one format and just do survival based on a different, like you can just take data in different gene expression, especially you can just take it in transcript per million or FPKM or in different formats. So you have to be consistent in this. So going further, what I was telling is we have to use a best cutoff to make this graph look better and to make better interpretation regarding utility of this particular gene in this particular cancer. So for this, I would recommend downloading the data directly from the cBioPortal. And what is the method for this? So when you open the data sets, the data set in detail, so there is an option to download the clinical data of all the patients, especially let's say if I'm just focusing on the gene expression, so I can just take the patients for which gene expression data is available. So I have selected 510 patients having the gene expression data. So I now see only these patients for which gene expression data is available for all the patients. And now I'm downloading this data. So I have got the file in which I have patients IDs and all of the features including the survival. You can see there is a column with overall survival months. This means this is the time duration. And what about the other second data? second point which we need is the status at that particular time. So let's say if you want to do overall survival, for that you need overall survival time and event, and for progression free survival you need time and event. So today I'm just going to show you how to use, let's say overall survival data. So what I want is, I want patient ID, and I'll just paste it in a new sheet for the ease, and I'll just take overall survival, which I have in these two columns. So now you see I have three columns here. One is overall survival time, overall survival status, and patient ID. So for survival analysis, you actually need just these 2 points, but not the sample ID. But why I have kept sample ID? Because I want to make two groups based on these patients. So that is another parameter to use. So for that, I have to go to my input, which was expression value of pKm. So I can just download expression value of pKm in all of these patients. So I'm just, let's say, I can select a particular format. Let's say if I take mRNA expression rsem. So this is one of the format which is very commonly used. So I'm just downloading. So I just downloaded this data, and you can see there are sample ID also and pKm1 expression values also. So this data I can basically open in Excel, and you see it is the same data, but this time I'm just going to copy the sample ID and the expression values, and I am going to merge this with the other file. Now you see I have different patient here in the row second for the survival data, but a different patient here for the gene expression data. So I have to make sure these two should match. So I want expression data for the same patient and survival data for the same patient. So what I will do, I will just put a small VLOOKUP search to get the survival data, these two columns for these patients for which I have already the expression value. So I'm just quickly do a VLOOKUP, and I'll look up for this, and I will look up in the columns A to C,